Hello everyone. There has been further developments or news in the gaming world. This time it's with ARM. If you remember a short time ago, Nvidia did acquire ARM, or at least is in the process of acquiring ARM. Nvidia in their interviews hinted towards allowing ARM, or at least supporting ARM, in developments related to servers and other places. So it looks like that has come to life in the form of gaming. This is a very interesting topic and one that I think needs to be discussed. So let's get right into it. The biggest deal here is that ARM's a completely different architecture, or at least a different approach to things than x86, which is an older architecture set. If ARM is to get itself into the market for gaming, or at least try to dislodge x86, then it's going to have some significant hurdles beyond the hardware aspect. It will also have some hurdles on the software side, which I will show right now. If you look at the list of operating systems that either allow ARM to be used or do use ARM, Windows is not showing up in the list very often, which you'll see here in just a minute when I scroll through 32 and 64-bit. So there you can see that under 32-bit, only the Windows embed is the one allowing for ARM or using ARM. Windows is indeed going to support, I guess, a virtual machine of Android and Linux, but even then, I don't think that Windows, well, at least I should say Microsoft, will be fully prepared to deal with an ARM environment. That's because if you'll notice down in the 64-bit section, Linux shows up again. Linux shows up in both 32 and 64-bit. As far as ARM is concerned, at least on the surface of all these articles and stuff, it would appear that Linux is going to be in a better position to handle an ARM environment than Microsoft would be, just because of the fact that they're used to it. This brings up another point beyond ARM, though. For the longest time, I have been talking about Linux on my channel, and for a very good reason. It's not because I'm a fan of Linux, it's because I recognize, as a person who, has been present for many years of technology developments in the PC world, I recognize that change comes quickly, but only as quickly as the industry will allow. Because Microsoft is, greedy and prefers to keep their stuff closed off, they are not in a position to make the changes as quickly as Linux. Because Linux is open source, they are able to make changes as quickly as the support for it allows. So if in this instance, if somebody was to say, hey, I want to create an ARM-based gaming computer, well, Linux is going to be able to respond to that much quicker than Microsoft. The same can be applied to the other technologies involved in today's gaming. I'll give one more example, just so you can see where I'm going with this and why I'm bringing this point out. If you remember, there was a technology mentioned with the recent AMD video cards, the 6800 XT and non-XT, called SAM. That's short for the memory access thing. SAM claims to give between 3 and 10% more performance to the AMD 6800 and 6800 XT. Problem is that it does require a 500 series motherboard and a Ryzen 5000 series processor. When news of this broke out, it was mentioned by several tech companies and or publications that the idea of SAM already exists. Microsoft has been working to implement it to the Windows family. When that happens, that means Nvidia is going to have the same access to SAM as AMD in the future. That's the future, though, so it could take many years for that to happen. AMD was able to do it much quicker than Nvidia because of the fact that they control perhaps the two biggest components in your computer when it comes to gaming, the processor and video card. Because they have the ability to control both, they're able to utilize them in unison due to the fact that they have access to both. So in summary, if ARM is indeed coming as a gaming thing, then Linux needs to happen as an operating system. It spent far too long being put to the side in comparison to Microsoft. Now is the time to start asking for a Linux distribution specific to gaming. Pop! OS can certainly do it, but not to the degree of Windows. So here is my plea for everybody out there in regards to this. I get it. Change is hard. People don't want to accept change, and there's probably a million other excuses out there. I was in that position many years ago when I was new to PC building. When I was new, it was single-core processors, and then a couple years down the line, we got dual-core, and then finally quad-core. I was very resilient to changes. I was kind of getting tired of them happening so often, but now I'm used to it. I understand that in order for the computer market to improve and to continue making new developments, you have to roll with the changes. And yes, it will get tiring after, a while, because I did too at one point, but you just gotta suck it up. Here's why you're not going to see more developments, and this will drive my point home. It's because the vast majority of computer users today are too lazy to learn things for themselves. I'm not saying everybody, but the vast majority. And until people can break this cycle of either they're not wanting to really change, or they don't want to learn, or this other crap, until that changes, nothing's going to happen at the speeds that should be happening. That's the bottom line. Unfortunately, if you look at the overall numbers of the market, those people are the ones that control the market, because they're the vast majority users. People like me who build computers and understand how to work things like Linux are few and far between in comparison to the people who are just looking to get an operating system, turn it on, and be done with it. Well, I will tell you right now, Linux can be built in any form or shape as far as I've been able to tell. So if you're really going to be that stubborn, then here's my proposition for you. Ask for Linux and find out, or at least see, what Linux can do for you. That's all, my humble plea, all I'm asking. Please give Linux a chance. Ask for more Linux support today and in the future, because it is sorely needed. Thanks for listening.